Guys, Brendan here today, and we're going to be working on the S2000. I got to fix the side skirt because it did break off. I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to walk you guys to Nakai-san. He does the RWB kits. He gave me some inspiration for this because I watch a lot of his videos that people post. So the hardware that I'm using is actually what I had in store. This is actually an M5 bolt. This is what's going to fit through the Voltex skirt, and this is actually what's going to go to the chassis. This is an M6, I believe. And so, knowing the hardware that I want, I'm going to show you guys the actual metal piece that I'm going to be using. I also have a caliper, so that helps also when you're picking up metal and designing it. Well, I just googled, and he's famous for using metal, these metal tubes in his builds. If you ever watch him, he takes a metal tube and hammers it, and it creates like a little flange. You can drill through it, and you can see he's doing it in these two pictures. Shout out to Front Street Media for doing the photography and showing everybody else, his secrets, I guess. Another one that I've seen on there that's really cool is the Flex, and maybe I'll incorporate it into my build somehow in the future. But what I'm going to be using is, he's using it for different parts of the body kit because it is fiberglass. It's a little more flexible, so he reinforces it by taking aluminum tubing, hammering the end flat. That creates like a little flange, and then he can drill a hole through it and thread a bolt. And this is cool because it's really flexible. You can bend it. Aluminum's aluminum's pretty soft. You can bend it with a hammer or put in a vise and get any angle that you want to support whatever you need to support. I have to go off the pictures because I don't know what size tubing, and the wall thickness that he's using. But I did some research, and I think I have a pretty good idea. So based on the hardware that I'm using, which is M5, M6 hardware, it's only because this is the hole that's already pre-drilled into my fender for my side skirt, is an M5. So I have some hardware that I'm gonna use. And so basically I take the bolt, which is the M6, and I find the next size up. So I'm basically looking for enough clearance where I believe it'll be strong enough for strong enough to drill without the walls collapsing, kind of. I don't know if that makes sense or not. But I'll show you guys when I actually pick up the metal from McMaster. So basically I put the bolt in between the set of calipers, and then I went to a common size. So a common size in the inch world would be like 1/2 inch. And so if you go at 1/2 inch, it's a really good size. Everybody's gonna carry that size, and it fits between here with enough clearance on each side. You don't have to worry about it breaking. And so here's a tip for you guys that don't know where to actually get raw materials, and you want to get like something specific when you're fabricating something sometimes. So you go to this website called MasterCard. So I've learned about this website in the engineering world, and what you do is, this website tells almost everything that you want. So for example, let's type in aluminum tube. So first thing right there, let me turn that on ISO, is multi-purpose aluminum. On the sidebar right here, it says your OD. I'm gonna do 1/2 inch, and then it brings up all the different products they sell, and this is pretty good. You don't have to go searching everywhere. This is really easy. It brings everything for you. So they have 3 different grades, or 2 different grades: multi-purpose 6061, architectural 6063, and anodized 6063. Anodizing is just putting like a different color on it. I believe it protects the aluminum as well against corrosion. That's going to cost more, so I don't need that. I don't need architectural. It tells you in the description here, it says more corrosion resistant and easier to form than 6061. Mostly used on exterior railings, decorative trim, and door frames. I don't know if it is a little more expensive. It looks cheaper. It actually is cheaper, and the wall thickness is, I think it's greater than the multi-purpose 6061. But I don't think it's that strong. It says the yield strength is 16,000 psi, and the yield strength on 6061 is double that. And it says and it tells you about the grade right here, the most widely used aluminum. 6061 is fabricated in everything from pipe fittings to containers to automotive and aerospace parts. Strong, corrosion resistant, plus it's easy machine in the world. I'm gonna go with the 6061. Up to you. I think 6063 or 6061 would be good for this option. So it just depends which fits your budget. I'm thinking about the 6063 now because it's way cheaper. It's 8 feet for $20, and you get a thicker wall thickness at 115 thousandths versus the thickest they have on 6061 is 65 thousandths of an inch, and it's 6 feet is $36. So this is a great website. You can click on the part number here and hit product detail, and you can actually see they have even drawings of all their parts that they sell on the website. So this one's really thick. So you also got to consider, you know, when you're forming it with the hammer, you know, if it's too thick, is it gonna want to bend and etc. Or hammer flat, and then you have to drill through more metal. You know, you have to double this. This is 230 thousandths versus 130 thousandths. So this is 130 thousandths thicker. So what you do is you know, pull up your caliper and you go to 230 thousandths. You know, do you really want to drill through this much aluminum, or would you rather drill through 130 thousandths of aluminum? And so it depends on your application and how strong you need it. It's a cool website for you guys to check out. They sell everything on here, anything you can think of, and if they don't sell it, you probably can try Granger. The good thing is I'm in California, so I can do pickup locally at a local pickup, and they're usually pretty quick. I can order something and they'll have it ready in an hour or 2 hours. So that's one of the benefits of living in SoCal. So that's just one of the things on my list. I'm gonna go check around the car to make sure I don't need anything else from Master, so I don't have to keep going back and forth. So I can fabricate some other pieces if I need to. Go to McMaster right now. I'm gonna go pick it up and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So I took out the fender liner because it's covering the vents, and then it's pointless to have these vents if it, you know, air's not going to be able to get out under the wheel. So I'm going to cut it all the way up until probably about 10-11 o'clock right here, because I don't want all the rocks getting into here. So I'm going to do that now. As you can see, this is where the Voltex fender is going to bolt into right here, but the tab behind it actually broke. You can see the end of it because it is fiberglass and it's thin. So it's unlike this one, which is still good. There's a plastic clip that goes in there, and then when the screw goes in, the plastic clip expands. However, this one broke off, and so you can see the fender, or the side skirt, hangs down a little bit. So the goal is to get it back to position, which is right here. And so I'm going to build a bracket that's going to connect this end to another end inside here. That's what I'm gonna figure out. Probably to this windshield washer reservoir bolt right there. And it's gonna be a pretty long bracket, but it should hold this up nice and strong. The metal tubing that I picked up, I'm gonna go ahead and do a mock-up by measuring it and seeing how long of tubing I need, and then I'm gonna hammer the ends and drill holes, and that should be pretty simple. Alright, so I'm gonna take this measuring tape. I'm gonna measure roughly from the point of where I'm gonna mount to on the chassis, which is probably behind this reservoir. I don't see anywhere else closer from here, so I'm just going to do that for now. I think it's going to be a good point. And I'm going to measure to the center of this hole. And it's about 16 inches. I'm going to cut this thing at maybe 17.5 inches just to be safe. Okay, now I'm gonna hammer the ends flat, but then I also have to figure out how I'm gonna get it to match. So I know this end is gonna be flat right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and hammer that end with my big sledgehammer. We'll do it right here on the ground. I don't have to go to a vise. Okay, so I have a piece of wood. I have the stepper drill bit. Let me see how it lines up first. I have the bottom mounted. I'm gonna have to hammer this part a little more flat so it doesn't break the edge right here. And you can see how I have it lined up right now. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna mark it. I'm gonna get a Sharpie, mark it where I think I should have it hammered at. So I have this one about a couple inches too long, or an inch too long. So I'm gonna mark it where I think I'm gonna hammer it at. I'm gonna hammer it, and then I'm gonna take a pair of vise grips, and then I'm gonna try to bend it. So hopefully I can bend it to get to this profile right here, and that should be it. Get on camera, but I took 2 vice grips. I held one end in place and I bent the other end based on you know, where I thought it would fit. So it's kind of difficult to explain. But once I bolted it on the car right here, I saw how much the other end needed to bend, so I held the vice grip on that side and with all my might bent it, and so where I can get like flat on this side. So now you can see it's about almost perfect. I'm gonna mount it and do a test fit right now. I got to trim off some of the extra aluminum right there on that side, and I'm gonna sand it down. Alright, so I had to modify the fender a little bit because it's blocking the through hole where the bolts go through. It's getting kind of dark and it's hard to see, but I kind of finished the bracket already and I'm pretty happy because this is my first time doing it. I think lesson learned is the wall thickness is too thick. I would go with a smaller one so it's easier to form. This was really hard to form with, but you can see it's really strong. You know, the part that might break is the fiberglass right here, so that's pretty scary. I would have to rebuild it if it actually broke. I gotta actually fix this and add a few spacers because it's not perfectly flat, but for now it's working. This side skirt's not going anywhere. It's really solid. The only move is really at the top, just because it's just the design of the side skirt. There's no mounting point here. But yeah, it's really solid. It fits a lot better than before. I think this is something Voltic should have done in the first place instead of giving you, you know, to mount to that bumper tab. But then I do have aftermarket fenders and it's a lot harder to mount to because normally the fenders you mount to are actually metal, not fiberglass. But for those who have, you know, over fender nationals, this is what you might have to do. And I'm pretty happy. It's really solid. The fender liner should go back, and let me check if the wheel is gonna hit it at all. Hopefully it doesn't, or else I have to redo this all over. Get everything back in. It fits pretty nice. The only thing I have to do is I have to tab some of these fender liner area right here so I can get it around the bar, and then you can tuck it back in. So I only need the back part of the fender liner, so I cut up until that top clip right there, and that should allow air to evacuate. And another thing I was thinking about doing for this car was, if you notice, Voltex puts vents in the side skirts right here. And so you could probably make these active, so if there's any air that gets captured in the back right here, you could evacuate right here and come out. And so I was thinking about cutting holes in the fiberglass in the fender. But that's another project for another day, just to think about aero and downforce. Okay guys, so I finished the install. I have to make one for the other side now just to be safe, so that one doesn't break. If I'm at the track or something happens, I don't have to take the side skirt off. But I'm going back to McMaster, and I'm learning from this experience. I thought the metal was a little bit too thick, so it was hard to manipulate. So I definitely recommend going with probably something half the size that I got. So instead of like a 65 thousandths wall thickness, maybe like a 35 thousandths. And let me show you a McMaster, which one that is. And it's gonna be more expensive because I ended up getting the 6063 aluminum, and so that's thinnest wall thickness they have, the 65 thousandths. 6061 they actually go to 35 thousandths, but it's way more expensive. 6 feet is 30 bucks, whereas it was 8 feet for $9 on the 6063. The 6061 is gonna be a lot stronger, but fiberglass is very light as it is, so either one would have worked. This one was just a little thicker, hard to manipulate. You have to use spacers, so I would definitely recommend, depending on the bolt that the fiberglass side skirt you're working with, get some washers or spacers or shims. They have it on McMaster as well, and you can space it out so that way you don't bend the fiberglass if you don't get the rod perfectly at that angle that you're trying to get it at, because it's all eyeball. These slotted spacers might be the best, so it's easy to get on. But you can use washers. That's what I did. I put some on the other side so it could help account for the space or the angle that I was off by. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.